Mason.
Okay,
Turn it over to you.
thank you. Man, it's good to see everybody. It's good to be back. It's Ole Miss week. It's good to be back in true game week mode and practicing and doing. And what we do is we get ready and to take on Ole Miss on Saturday. This week we'll set the stage for the second annual Set the Expectation game. We're working with Brenda Tracy and the Set the Expectation movement and group, just bringing awareness to sexual assault and violence against women. And I truly believe, when we started that game a year ago, we were the first SEC school to participate in the Set the Expectation game, and that we sort of want to model and bring some awareness to exactly what the issues are. But for us, there will be a football game played. We do play Ole Miss. Our football team is slowly but surely starting to look the part as we've been able to get guys back and get a lot of key guys back in critical spots. And now what we're looking to do is push it forward. We've had two really good practices. Had a practice on Sunday. Had a practice this morning, which was a high-tempo practice. Man, we faced a lot of tempo today, as we expect to see tempo on Saturday from Ole Miss, and that's really who they are. And so for us, it is about communicating, setting your eyes, getting yourself in a position where you can get your cleats in the ground and playing football, because they're going to present a lot of eye candy. But they're good in all three phases, and so for us, the definite challenge is making sure, man, that we take care of the things that we have to take care of. And I think, man, we've had a good start to what this thing should look like for us. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Adam, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Derek, obviously against Ole Miss, you're going to have to score a good number of points. They're scoring about 35 a game. When you look at your offense, what small signs are you seeing on offense that tells you that the offensive plan has potential to work?
Well, again, having some time to look at, where we needed to, beef up, our true ability to protect the quarterback, score points, in the red zone and stay on the field. Those were all critical areas that we had to address. And what I've seen, in the last couple of practices, speaks exactly to that. Hey, the matchups, are the matchups, whether we see man, whether we see zone, our ability to run the football when we need to run the football and let it be, physical downhill football and really, space out the field as best we can, man, to make sure we can open up windows. But I think it's going to be about protection. I think it's going to be about, taking what the defense gives you. Everybody wants touchdowns. I think what we want is first downs. And like when you get first downs, first downs can ultimately, lead you to the end zone. And that's what we look to do. And I think watching our guys practice, the rhythm looks there. It looks like Ken has a better feel for, in the personnel. I think as we've game planned a little bit, man, he understands that there's primary and there's secondary, and where do you go with it? Man, if you feel like, man, you're waiting, okay, man, and getting stuck, and again, that's allowed him to get the ball out fast and make sure, man, that we can move the chains.
What do you think has been the things that you've seen in practice? What do you think is not getting translated to the field on Saturdays offensively?
Well, I think, execution, whether it's, simplification and execution of protections, whether it's the idea of, guys, needing to make plays and winning their one-on-ones. It's about players. Everybody's got schemes, but, players have to, make plays. And I think, we've got playmakers. You've seen it in spots, but we haven't been consistent enough about plays being made, whether it's down the field, whether it's on the perimeter, and that slowed us down. So efficiency of yards per play definitely has to go up, and that's exactly what we've been able to do in practice. I've seen the efficiency, and that's what we're charting right now. We're really charting the efficiency, per play in practice, because you want positive gains on first and second down to put you in manageable third downs, and that gives you an opportunity to again stay on the field, create rhythm, and put the ball in the end zone, and that's what we're looking for.
Thanks.
Teresa, go ahead.
So Derek, it sounds like you've been able to take a tough situation with the postponement and rescheduling of the Missouri game been able to find some improvements and way to make this break work for you.
Right.
How beneficial has it been?
It's been beneficial. I think, obviously we had more offensive players available to us than we did defensive players during that time. And, like with that being said, it allowed us to, work on those things offensively, protections, timing for the quarterback, like what do we do for him, different platforms, whether, he's playing from the pocket, he's playing on the perimeter. How do you use, like the run game to help you in the pass game? All these things, as well as cleaning up his reads a little bit, have worked for the betterment of our offense. And so I think in that, while we were, gasping for air a little bit, defensively because our numbers were down, I think offensively we were able to make a lot of headway. And as defensive guys have come back, what we're starting to see is that he's getting more competitive looks, and that's what you want. You want him to be pressured, and you want him to be stressed and be able to flip, in protection and get it right and be able to understand where he needs to go with the football in order for us to keep the chains moving. So I think it's been a great benefit to us, and now what we're seeing is the marriage of the run game and the pass game, and I think that's crucial when you talk about having balance to what we do. I think we run the football well, but you can't just look to run the football well. I mean, you got to put points on the board, and in order for us to be an offense that can do that, man, we got to be able to be efficient through the air. We got to be able to take some shots down the field and make sure that we connect on those shots, and that's been missing. But that's something that we worked on aggressively over the last couple of weeks, and I'm starting to see it pay some dividends as I watch practice.
Robbie, go ahead.
Yeah, Derek, with the DBs that missed the last game, I guess what have you seen from them coming back? Are you gonna, maybe rotate a little bit more? How close are they to being able to play, like a full or fullish allotment of snaps from like a cardio perspective?
Yeah, I mean, these guys, have all been through the protocols, and they've all been phased back into practices. All those guys, for the most part, were available to us, and that was good. And those guys didn't miss a beat today. We started with a high tempo, competitive period in practice. That was no huddle, and we got 13 or 14 snaps, and so guys took 6 or 7 play racks, which was good to see. So, I mean, I didn't see any drop off. I think guys are sharp. When these guys came back and they did the conditioning test, they were like, "Coach, can we practice today?" I said, "Absolutely not," and that was last week. So these guys are in shape. That's the one thing about skilled guys. Skilled guys, it doesn't take very long. Deers run all the time, and most of these guys on the back end are deers, so they can run pretty well. So I'm not worried so much about their conditioning. I worry more about like how they would actually grasp, like the concepts, the muscle memory of making calls and being able to communicate on the back end. And they've done a really nice job. So that's been fun to see.
Betsy, go ahead.
Okay, I've got 2 questions. So first, what have you been working on over the bye to address the struggles in the red zone on offense?
A lot of red zone work. I think what it comes down to, like for us, is decision making and efficiency. You got primary and secondary. I think, when I watched the film and had a chance to, sit down, much like Coach Fitch did, but I wanted to just give my 2 cents. To the quarterback about what happens in the red zone. And when you get down there, the thing about red zone, which is much different than the field, is things happen much faster. Okay, the cycle of how defense plays is faster. A lot of times, man, you're being pressured. So what you have to do is quickly get through your reads. It's different in the field. In the field, man, you have more time and space. In the red zone, everything's condensed. Okay, so you don't have as much vertical grass, and so the ability to get from option 1 to 2 to 3 has to happen quickly. I mean, you got to let your eyes and feet take you to where you need to go. And working on that, he looked much more comfortable last week, and he's been pretty sharp early this week. So hopefully, man, that's been able to expedite or speed up his process a little bit. And what you got to do now is keep doing it, and then when you get in games, you got to make it come alive.
And what have you seen from the Orji brothers and their development this year?
Yeah, it's Austin was out and he's back. Anthony's been playing and he's getting comfortable like in the position. But I'm really starting to see both of these guys make a jump athletically. Man, they're gifted. Man, they're smart, extremely intelligent. But when you play the game, and I tell these guys, you got to play ahead of the play. So you got to be able to get your eyes in the right spot. You got to be able to make sure, man, that you can communicate what you see, and then you from there, just take in the information as the play's developing. And I think that's what they're getting better at. So just having a little time off, we've been able to detail exactly where they put their eyes, okay, what the communication looks like, and just making it real simple for them just to do their job. And what they've seen is that they can get 3/4 of their work done before the ball's even snapped. So that's something that takes a while to learn, but now I think these guys are starting to get comfortable, in that position, and in doing so, I think you're going to see more production, out of those two guys.
Coach, no Javion Marlowe, Harrison Smith, or Mike Wright on the depth chart. If those guys are COVID-related absences, is there a chance any of them or any others who weren't on there could be back in time to play Saturday?
Anything's possible. Anything's possible. Guys have made it back, but still going through some of the conditioning pieces. It was good to see Javion and Jaden Harrison back today. Devin Body, was back out there on the grass in uniform. It's good to see him back. His speed is needed, for this offense. And so, these guys are slowly but surely coming back. And so you have the opportunity, hopefully, man, to see these guys on Saturday. I'll just cross my fingers as we test today and on Thursday, and we'll see exactly where that takes us.
Also on the depth chart, Coach, Cam Johnson is listed as your holder if Harrison Smith does not come back.
Yeah.
How do you guys get to a wide receiver doing that, and has he done it before?
He's been doing it all year. So he did some, a year ago. He was our backup holder. But in this situation, man, you always cross-train guys. And so we have 3 or 4 holders on standby. But I feel comfortable with Cam. Our kickers feel comfortable with Cam, and I think that's really all that matters. I mean, we know he's pretty sure-handed. So between playing basketball, football, and he's not bad in tennis, and he's got a pretty mean golf game. So at the end of the day, I trust his hands.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach Mason, Ole Miss has scored 174 points this year in just 5 games against all SEC opponents.
Mm-hmm.
What concrete steps are going to be taken to try to stop that high-powered offense?
Yeah, again, I think Lane said in his press conference, he regrets slowing down versus Auburn. I think, they're predicated on tempo. We're gonna see some unbalanced from these guys. You're gonna see 2 quarterbacks. You're gonna see, Plumlee and Carroll. Both of them can run. Obviously, Carroll's got a big arm. Plumlee a year ago, gave us fits in the run game, and I think they're going to come back to that, and they're going to look at film from 2019. They're going to figure out how they want to attack us, and it's critical for us, man, that we get our cleats in the ground, we get lined up, we get our eyes in the right spots, and we play smart football. For them, it's about motions, shifts, a lot of deception, just to do simple things. And so for us, it's about getting lined up, making sure that in critical situations we take in the information that they give us. We're able to play top down in the secondary, and we got to be able to tackle well. So in doing that, attacking the tempo, making sure, man, that we play top down and tackling are going to be the keys in this ball game. We got to make them, go to the length of the field, limit the explosive plays, and play good football in the red zone.
Paul, go ahead.
to really get a feel of like for an athlete that tests positive, like when they come out of isolation, what that process is like, how long does it take, like what specifically are they doing to get back to be able to play a game?
Yeah, I'll tell you specifically here at Vanderbilt, when you talk about quarantine, quarantine is 14 days. And, at the end of that 14-day period, what we have is a 2-day acclimation period, for these guys where they have a running test, and they have to pass the running test uh, two two consecutive days of the running test. They have to pass the running test, and then what we do is put them on a workload. So we have GPS monitoring. So the first day they're at 65%, the second day they're at 75%, and then they're back. So that's what it looks like coming out of quarantine. For isolation, it's a little different. In isolation, it's about getting an EKG upon getting out. So you got 14 days, 10 days, then your EKG, then you have your PCR testing, and then after PCR testing, you have to get a cardiac MRI, and that cardiac MRI has to be read. So I know people think that it may be faster, coming off of isolation, but it's really not. It's actually a little bit longer. It's a tedious process. And so you've got 3 days of testing, and then you get into the on the field the acclimatization days, which are 2 days, and then you're back with the GPS testing on load. So it can almost be close to 2.5 weeks before a young man truly comes back after testing positive. If everything goes well.
And so for the running test, like is it just something close to what they would normally run? Like how do you measure if they're conditioning, how they're conditioning it?
We look at quarters, and so like these guys are generally running, cut 60s. Okay, where you're going up and back, in a time manner, and you're having to do at least a quarter of a football game. So that's pretty strenuous when you start talking about like what that conditioning test looks like. It's not, okay, man, you go out there, you do a couple of striders, and hey, you're back. We try to really stress to see if from a conditioning standpoint, they're truly ready to get back, to what we do, because football conditioning is so different than any other sport. It's not just 6 seconds. It's being able to go from like 0 to 60, play 15-minute quarters, and then look up and say to yourself, okay, how do I feel? And so I think being able to do the quarters test for us is I think almost standard across college football. As I've talked to James Dobson, and it's been a good, barometer for us to see, where they truly stand. And again, getting back to the GPS stuff, monitoring the workloads and starting them out at 65% is what they start off with. And I think, again, we're just following our protocols, and we've had success being able to get guys back doing it that way. So it makes sense to us. And so what we're going to do is just stick with the protocols and the model that we have in place.
Sorry, just one last question. Is it just to me it sounds like, and that for the outside world maybe like, okay, 10 days, like day 11, that guy's ready to go, right? Like, it sounds like it's a lot more complicated, and missing those times or potentially having symptoms. Like these are real things you need to kind of ease out, like you said, acclimate. I can't say that word. Acclimate them
Yeah.
coming out of these things.
Yeah, it's important that people do understand that everybody gets affected differently too. I mean, you wish everybody could come out of it like the same way, but truly they don't. I mean, some people may have no symptoms. Some people may lose smell and taste. And like with that, and have some trouble breathing. And so with that being said, everybody is looked at on an individual basis, and it could be longer than 10 or 14 days. Like to be real honest. I mean, what the CDC guidelines say is that, I mean, you need to be, past the point of being symptomatic. And with that being said, if somebody still has, some ongoing things or something happening, or they're struggling a little bit, or they can't get through the conditioning test, well, then we just take as long as needed to make sure, that we can guarantee health, safety, and welfare of the student athlete.
Gentry, go ahead.
Yeah, Derek, are you still looking at this when talking to the players as like teachable moments in terms of what to do away from the facility? Guys do this, don't do that. Are you kind of to a point with this where to a certain extent, this is unavoidable?
That's a great question, Gentry. I look and, every day is a new day. Every test is a new test. And we're learning more every day about, what we, should be doing, as our university, as the athletic department, gains more information. We're adjusting protocols, but no 2 days are alike. And so in this, we have to continue to stick to, our guidelines within our facility about how we handle social distancing. What are we doing in terms of our meetings? Some of our meetings are in Zoom. Some of our meetings are in person. Our meetings that are in person are definitely met with social distance protocols in there, and we've done some things above and beyond too, with some apparatus in our rooms that allow us to continue to push clean air and through our building and through these meeting rooms as we're working. So mask up all the time. I mean, I'm constantly walking through meetings and guys are drinking and I'm like, mask up. And they know. They were like, Coach, I just took a sip. I said, okay, gotcha. I know you need to hydrate, but get your mask up. So we're on it. We're going to stick to these protocols. We understand that we're playing football like in the midst of COVID, in the midst of a pandemic. And so with that being said, we're going to follow, everything to the letter. And it is unavoidable. We never said that we had, a vaccine or a cure. What we said was that we were going to be safe and smart and do whatever we could to make sure that we can provide a safe environment for our student athletes.
Yeah, and from a competitive standpoint, I mean, the job's difficult enough. I mean, how much of a disadvantage has this been?
Look, challenges are part of the game. Man, I think I'm a competitor. I want to coach competitors. You want to have your team available to you, but in this case, man, you just don't control every facet of what you do. So the things that you do control, you work to make sure that the measures are followed to the best of your ability. So, like with that, let's just play football. I mean, I want to play football. Our guys want to play football. The guys that are available to us are the ones that we're going to line up with, and we're gonna do it. With the RTI mantra, we're going to be relentless, tough, and intelligent, working to get that done. That's what we said. That's what we signed up for, and that's what we're going to do.
Quickly, Robbie, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, I saw that Bradley Ashmore is the starter at right tackle now. I know on the radio last night you said you were doing some extensive self-scouting. What did you see when you looked back at the film?
Look back at the film and thought, just looking at like where we were, I thought like Bradley Ashmore, had played well enough to warrant, moving the roster around and shoring ourselves up. I think, Connor, is a really good interior player. He can play tackle. He showed that he can play tackle, but, I like him at guard. I think Coach Rosamondo, looked at that and said, okay, like who are our best five and, who are our top 10 and put those guys in those positions. So I think, again, it's just about shoring up, any issues that we may have. I mean, he's a young guy, but he's a competitor. And I think when you're looking at guys, man, you want competitors. Guys are going to step up, play, fight. And he's shown, even as a young guy, that he's got that temperament and, he plays the right way. So every time he's touched the grass, he's gotten better. And that's a testament to him. And we're just asking everybody in the room, compete. And everybody's only one play away from stepping on the field. So you got starters and starters in waiting. And that's just where we sit, as of 11/27.
Adam, last one.
Yeah, Derek.
Or 10/27.
Question on
Yeah.
what Nicole was asking. Have you had any instances, not asking for names here, but have you had any instances this season where someone was cleared of quarantine or isolation, they hit the 14 or 10 days, yet they weren't available to you because they had not passed the running test or EKG or any of those additional days? Has that happened?
Yeah, I mean, that's happened. I mean, again, I think what it comes down to is that, everybody's different. And so I think, as we've looked, man, I'll never talk specifics, but I can go back to a player earlier, okay, where, in the blood work, like we kept waiting on the blood work, and the blood work came back, and we had to do some extensive checking into, was there anything that we weren't catching? And so, it took another 7 to 10 days. Now, is that a disadvantage? Absolutely. He felt fine. Everything was great, but those are just the lengths that we're going to go to here at Vanderbilt to make sure that the student athlete is protected. That's what parents expect. That's what the student athlete expects, and that's the standard here. So that's what we're going to do. And again, does it slow you down? Absolutely. But that's not what we said when we said that we were going to play football in 2020. We said that we were going to, look out for the safety, health, and welfare of the student athlete.
Thanks.
You got it.
All right, Coach. Thank you for spending some time with us, and we'll transition to Drew Birchmeyer in just a second.
Appreciate you. I hope everybody's doing well out there. Take care of yourselves. Let's anchor down.